Hi FLOSSTUBE, it's Leigh from Creatively on Sunday the 15th of August with FLOSSTUBE number 88. They're getting up there. So thanks for coming to watch my FLOSSTUBE video. It's gonna be probably not that much actual stitching stuff today, so I'll pad it out a little bit. I didn't buy anything new this last week. Well done, Leigh. Probably because I was just too busy, really. But anyway, it's quite late in the day here on Sunday. It's about 4:30, 4:45, and the sun's starting to head behind the hills, so it suddenly got cold. It's been a lovely day though. I've had the doors and windows open. It's been really pleasant, and I went out and I mowed the lawn. It was probably too wet to mow the lawn, but the lawn needed mowing. And the ground is very squishy. It's like a waterbed in some areas, I think, because it just hasn't all settled in yet, but with all the rain and the little bits of sun we've had, it's just growing and needed to get the top taken off. So I did that. Some more kind of sweaty and but whatever. So yeah, couple of fine days, and it's raining again tomorrow. Ideally I'd have had like 5 days of it being fine before I mowed it to let the ground settle a little bit, but I don't know when that's going to happen. So there you go, weather update and grass update with one update. My dad's doing okay. He had to call the ambulance on Sunday last week because his back had gone into spasm and he'd ended up on the floor and couldn't get up. So he rang me and I told him to ring the ambulance, and then they came and helped him and sorted it all out. So he's doing okay. Struggling a bit with my stepmother being not good. She's got a lot worse with her Alzheimer's, and unfortunately is often in a very aggressive, kind of bordering a little bit violent state. And yeah, so it's just sad, but yeah, he did go and visit her yesterday, and then he left his phone there, and he didn't know that, and no one could get hold of him. But he managed to get reconciled with it today. So everyone else knew his phone was there because the home had rung his sister-in-law, who was also on their call sheet, and they said, we think it's his phone because it's where he was sitting and no one else has visited today. And she called me and got the number of a friend to see if he could go around, but to tell Dad, but he was out of town. And in the end, everyone kind of knew. Basically, she had rung everyone and said, if you see Graham, tell him his phone's at Taupo Beach Care. So anyway, bloody Dad is so high maintenance. Anyway, very exciting life. He did have to have some tests this week to check on things to make sure something wasn't cancer, and it isn't. It's a side effect of medication, so that's a good thing because it could have been. So yay for him not getting that, because that's how it is. Anyway, had a few friends visiting this weekend, which has been really nice, but it means I haven't really got a lot done. But I did get a little bit of stitching done during the week, so let's have a look at that. So first up, I mentioned last week that I was going to try and carry on and get caught up with the August. I was partway through July last week and get caught up on the August Modern Folk Embroidery Fruit of Plenty sale, and this was August, was this bit in here, and this was, so I was partway through July. So I did I stitched, and I'd mentioned that I was gonna, the house, there were various designs for the August motif, and I went with the birdhouse, which I think looks really cool. Very close to full coverage in there. So here I am, all caught up with a bit extra because I often finish these symmetrical motifs into that month. So there you go. I added in my L for the first initial. There is a bit of a gap in here, which they give you on the Jacob gives you on the alphabet chart. There's some little motify things that you could fill in with. I'm going to leave that till later. I kind of like that around the initials there's a bit of breathing space, so I might leave it. I'll see what it looks like when the M goes in the other side. But I kind of like that little bit of breathing space around the initials so you notice them. We'll see. So yeah, I think that's looking really good. It's a lot of stitching to do 2 months, pretty much back to back, so let's not do that again. And I'm stitching this on 40 count Toitoi linen from Country Stitch using DMC 919 and 922. And that was a January start, so 2nd of January, because of course we're a day ahead, so even though it was a New Year's start, I didn't get the chart till the 2nd. So my full intention is to finish that in December, after December 1 comes out. Then on Friday, I picked up my Friday stitch, which is a start along with, stitch along, but probably more like a start along with Seb up in Auckland, and it's The Way We Ride by Blackbird, just in case you can't read. And I did work from home on Friday, so, and by 4 o'clock I was done, so I sort of sat down at 4 o'clock. And apart from stopping for dinner and doing the dishes and stuff, I think I went to bed about 11:30. So I stitched, what's that, 5.5 hours? So I did more than my normal kind of hour and a half, 2 hours that I would normally do. Anyway, I'll show you in a sec. Stitching this on 36 count Tussock from Country Stitch. And it's a partial conversion, which I started this on 16th of July. Partial conversion, so I think I'm only using 4 or 5 of the called 4, kind of all the browns, or most of the browns, and the orange and pink and red are my own colours. So I did heaps. So last time you saw this, I had stitched the board, finished the border. I don't know how to show this. I didn't iron anything because I just wouldn't have done the video if I had to iron. So that's where I got. So I stitched a lot. House was so much fun, and I am loving this. There's a few little changes to things where I found the chart annoyed me. I know this was supposed to be a bit of a path, but it was asymmetrical, but I didn't get why it was I didn't like it, so I changed it. And I fixed one of the wings that was charted differently than it's stitched on the front, and there's some space in here. There are some little kind of doodads that go in there a little, but I'm going to leave it until I do my initials and the date and then fill in some of those. So I'm not sure where I'm going to squeeze them in. But yeah, I've got quite a lot done. I don't have that much to do, obviously. I've got that big border, the top of the wordage, these 3 biggish motifs, the moon, and then the little sprinkly bits, and of course my initials. So I have easily like a 5th to do, not even that, maybe a 6th to do. So probably another Friday evening I can finish that. I might give it a break for a couple of weeks just to, you know, not finish it so quickly, but we'll see. Oh, actually next Friday I'm going to be away. I'm going to be out with friends having a dinner, so I won't be stitching it next Friday, so we'll definitely have a week off at least. So, and then yesterday evening, last night I think that's called, I thought, well, I needed to do something else. So I picked up Oriental Lady Grace from Joan Elliot. This is just a photocopy from the book. So I have the Oriental cross stitch book, I think it is. So yeah, and she needed a little bit of love. I don't pick this up as often as I should because I don't like the chart, because the chart's colour, and I don't like stitching on, I don't like coloured charts. I like black and white charts. I find, yeah, I just don't like, it's some, because the colours can get a bit close and I don't know, you gotta look too hard really. So yeah, Oriental Lady Grace, 32 count linen from Country Stitch in the colourway Taupo, and I'm using Call for DMC, and I started this in February and I have 2 more to do after this one. So that's right. So last time we saw this, I'd done all of the back stitching in here and I'd finished off this bit. So basically yesterday I picked it up. I had the black in here, but pretty much everything from there is new apart from that black snaky shape. So lots of greenery, and I've started now working up the dress with the blossoms and things. So working in this space down here, so I started in here. So lots to go, but I'm enjoying that. So yeah, I really enjoy it when I pick it up. I just don't enjoy the chart because I don't like colour charts. So quite a bit of stitching achieved. I don't know how, because you know, I do know how. I stay up too late stitching because I come home from work and I don't want to work to be the only thing I do during the day, because work doesn't bring me joy. And if I want to do something joyful, I stitch. So, and I end up not getting enough sleep. So that's what I did. So that's all my stitching. I will show you just a couple of the things from the box. So for those who have forgotten, how could you, or didn't know because you only just come along, I am intending to start 50 projects at 50, so it's called 50 at 50. I turn 50 on the 18th of January 2022, and my intention is to start something every week for 50 weeks. I have lots of things partially kitted, and what I'm just doing is, as I kit things up, I'm showing you things that are fully kitted. And I probably have about 30 things in a box, either partially kitted or fully kitted. And for me, partially kitted means I either have the fabric for it, or I have the specialty, I have specialty floss or something. So if I'm using silk or over dyes or my own conversion, krennic, beads, whatever, I have the fancy stuff. If it's just DMC, I may still consider it kitted if I have the fabric, because I would only pull the DMC closer to the day I start it. I don't buy DMC, I don't buy new skeins of DMC for every project. I kit up according to the project. So if the project needs lots of floss or multiple skeins, I'll go and buy it. But if it doesn't need a lot of a colour, I'll just pull a length or two from my master set. So depending on what the project is, I'll consider it kitted if it's just DMC, because I have plenty of DMC and I'll work it out as I go along. So I don't have everything kitted, and some of the things, you know, were kitted and I started them. That's one example. You know, I finished the little bust, the cat, the other week. That was sort of in that box, which was DMC and some beads and a little bit of fabric, and I just pulled that out and finished it. So I just have a big cardboard box in my cupboard, and I have things as I plan something, as I look through my charts, I go, right, I think I know what fabric I want, I'll order that fabric, or I've got fabric in my stash or whatever. I then kind of put it into a bag. I write it down on a spreadsheet, anything that I'm waiting for, whether I've ordered it or plan to order it or I've allocated it. I just keep a spreadsheet and stuff, and then yeah, and then when things come in I move it to the kitted part of the box, and then if I want to start it I can start it. But anyway, so right now I'm focusing mostly on getting through my whips and getting as many of them finished as I can by the end of the year, because I don't want to go into this with 12, 13 whips. I want to start with a relatively clean slate. I will have at least 2. I will have Save the Stitches, the Blackbird Journey by Liz Armand. I'll have that one will be in progress because that's just going to take me a while to do. And the one I'm starting in September, the Peacock Garden Sampler, I can't remember what it's called, by Antique Samplers or something off Etsy. That's going to be the big ass piece that I'm stitching on 46 count. That will take longer than, I won't have that done by Christmas. So I'll have a couple of pieces and maybe one other that I'm still working on. Anyway, that's brought you up to speed with that. So over the last couple of months, when my video's been a bit short, I've been just pulling things out just to show you what else is in there that may be stitched next year or may not be stitched next year, but I'm ready to stitch at my whim. I have shown these previously, but it was several months ago. So I've got, and I'm not taking them out of plastic, you'll be fine. So I've got Plum Street, Miss Bingley's Library, and this one is, I've got kitted up with 36 count natural sampler from Victorian Motto. I used to be a club member, and it's going to be a partial conversion. So here's the fabric. So it's probably a little bit taupier than beige. That was stitched on Liberty Gathering Grey, but I'm using that. And I've got it partially converted. So I'm subbing quite a lot of Victorian Motto for the Weeks and Classic Colourworks, because that's how I roll. So, those are sort of my partial conversions. And then I've got some of the called for. So I thought the blue was important to have the blue and whites. Very rarely do you get a white in a club kit. So I've got the called for whitewash. Anyway, so there are my flosses. They're gonna look really pretty on that. So I think that I made a nice version there. So closer to the day, like when I start it, if and when anyone wants to know the actual conversion, because to be fair, I could change some of these closer to when I go, oh, I've had this new colour come in from another club that I think would look better, I'll swap it. But yeah, that one's ready to go. And yeah, closer to I can share those colours, but especially when I'm using Victorian Motto or a club that's kind of exclusive flosses and not repeatable, it's not really that helpful to share. Look at this thing that I have that you don't have. The another one I'll show similarly, kitted up at the same time as A Gentleman's Daughter, again another Plum Street, again partial conversion, which I'm gonna stitch on 36 count sand, also from Victorian Motto Sampler Shop, again a partial conversion. I may already have said that like 73 times. So I've made up some of my own postcards again, just with, alright, this one I'm not sure, I need to find a black, either DMC 310 or use some leftovers from another project. So the colours that I kind of have kept the called for, we need a lot of, so like hickory sticks for the blue and the red are called for, hickory sticks and parchment, and then my subs. So that's going to be pretty. But yeah, when I get to stitching it, if I find that this is too close to the fabric, then I may very well swap it out, but at the moment it's in there. Who knows? And the called for this was Nantucket Brew R&R, so I think that this is going to be a good substitute for that. Sorry about the, I mean, it is glary. It'll be fine. So they stitch up pretty quickly, these plum streaks, because they tend to have nice big chunks of colour, which, you know, I'm pretty happy just stitching rows of colour while I'm watching the old television. I'm really losing the light, so a bit of wriggle. So those are in there, and another one that I think I've shown a little while ago is I talked about stitching some things that I had on my wish list back in the day, back in like the 90s. Were the Carousel Horses by Teresa Wentzler, so all the seasons. I'm going to stitch them on 32 count cream linen. I have the linen for all 4 of them, and using all the called for. And the first one I just happened to pick from the I've forgotten what I was going to say. From the list was fall, and I think the drawn thread I'm going to stitch will be winter. So I'm thinking I might find 2 other seasonal ones, and so I can start one like 1st of spring, so start this the 1st of autumn in New Zealand next year. That will be that week kind of thing. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking right now. So I've got the cream linen. And for this one, I've got a spreadsheet with all the colours needed for all 4 of them, and where I needed most of them repeat across, most of the colours are used in more than one chart. There are a few exceptions, but I went ahead and bought new skeins of floss for all of them so that I can put them on their own thread card and put the symbol on, because I stitch from symbols. I don't really want to have to read the chart. And then I've got them all in this wee box for the fall, and then when I'm done with it, I'll do the next chart. I'll kit up the next one. It's not a 5-minute job stitching this, and the symbols aren't the same, so then I can relabel them and stuff and have the box for the next one. So I've even done the blends. This is how I do the blends. So I put the symbol on for the blend and the 2 colours. So the top one is the top colour, so I can put it back on my floss. I can put it back on the floss card later, because I don't throw floss away because it's too expensive in New Zealand. It's $1.75 a skein. And then the bottom colour is that one. So again, when I do the blend, I can just pull off 1 thread of each. I've got them in order of how they appear in the chart, in the hooflecky. And let me find an example of one where, oh yeah, so sometimes the blend will have, well, that's for backstitch, so I need backstitch with 1 strand of 598 and then also 1 strand of the blending filament 044, which is, I believe, this one. I've lost the sticker because I had that in my stash. And yeah, so I've got the blending filament for these in here. Yeah, that's how I roll. So that's all ready to go. So that way I can just stitch from the box. I don't have to keep flipping back to the chart. I just have to look for the symbol. And that's how I stitched my other Teresa Wentzler's. Takes like, you know, a couple of hours to get organised, but that's the kind of stuff that I like doing, because I'm like a weird nerdy swat and I enjoy getting things all ready and kitted up. I enjoy kitting and unkitting because I'm weird like that. I know there are other people who are like me too. So yeah, all ready to go. That was very loud. And as I said, I'll definitely start this one next year. I'm under no expectation to finish everything I start next year, but I do have quite a few smalls in my stash that I'll pepper in every now and then so that I can actually have some finishes and not be overwhelmed. I'm sure I'm going to be overwhelmed anyway. Of course I can cancel the whole thing. But anyway, those are 3 more fully kitted things that are in my box ready for my 50 at 50. And yeah, it's pretty exciting. I do have an order from 123 Stitch on the way where I ordered some fabric. I ordered the called for fabric and all but one, because it's on back order, silk for Giovanni's alphabet. Is that Tempting Tangles? I think it's Tempting Tangles, don't quote me on that. That I bought the chart a few weeks ago on one of the sales that was on over, it must have been Independence Day holiday, around 4th of July, so on Etsy. So I just love how that looks. So that's one where I just decide, okay, I love that cover photo so much, I want to stitch it with a called for. Always going to stitch a Teresa Webster with a called for because I ain't messing with triple blends and try and change colours there. Happy to change a Plum Street. So you just, whatever it feels like. Yeah, so that's on its way and that's pretty exciting. Oh, and I also finally ordered a chart to go with some navy, 40 count navy fabric that had from Catherine from Country Stitch for a very long time. And that will probably, yeah, I know what I'm doing with that. So that'll go in the box as well. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Easy dinner tonight. Probably spaghetti on toast because that's a Kiwi classic. And I will talk to you all next week. Enjoy stitching, keep safe, and as always, don't let your needles rust. Ciao.